Greetings, salutations, and welcome to One Piece at a Time. We take the jigsaw puzzle that is D365 for finance and operations and look at just one piece of it, hopefully to make your day a little bit easier. Today we're going to talk about trade agreements and trade agreement journals. Now, trade agreements enable you to specify prices on products where you don't just have a simple purchase price, or in fact a simple sell price. You can have a different price per customer, different price per vendor, different prices in different currencies, price breaks for different quantities. The only thing to be aware of is don't confuse them for purchase agreements. Purchase agreements are new to Dynamics. They enable you to set up volume-based discounts and volume-based pricing over time, which can be spread across multiple purchase orders. Trade agreements very specifically can only apply to one purchase, one transaction, one purchase order at a time. So to start with, we're just going to have a look at a couple of released products as an example. And if you're familiar with the logistics module of Dynamics, you'll know you have an item number, you have a product name, you can have a default vendor that you purchase it from, and typically you would have a standard purchase price. That works great if you're purchasing in your local currency from one vendor. However, if you're purchasing it from different vendors, or those having to use different currencies or even different lead times can sometimes influence the pricing, then you need to use trade agreements. On this particular product, I have a couple of trade agreements that we can look at. So you can see we've set up the purchase pricing. We're buying the product in New Zealand dollars in this case. We have two different vendors to purchase the same product for two different prices. If I create the purchase order, now, doesn't mean the system will automatically use that vendor to create the purchase order, but if you're master planning or if other rules in your business mean you buy it from that vendor, that's the price it will pick. Now, to actually put in the trade agreement lines in the first place, you actually have to create a trade agreement journal. I think Microsoft has done it this way because it means it's very easy to import pricing. So if you have a price list from a vendor, you can get these in very quickly. It also means you keep track of price changes over time very consistently. In this case, I've just created a new purchase price journal. And if I have a look at for the lines for it, you can see I'm creating a purchase price for a specific vendor. You can do this for a group of vendors. The reason you might do that is, say you were buying Ford parts from distributors around the country. You might have 20 Ford vendors, but they all use Ford's price list. So you can set up a price list for all your Ford vendors. You don't have to set up trade agreements for every vendor. But in this case, I've got my price for my product. If I want to add another line to that, I can put as many different lines in the journal as I want. I can specify different vendors. I can go through. So in this case, for example, I'm going to buy it from AutoLink, and I'm going to specify the price is 11 euro. So and I forgot to put in the part number. I will do that. So what we can see there, we've got now I've got two different prices for the same product, one which is in US dollars, one which is in euro, and for very specific vendors. Now, I could also add another line, for example, and if I add exactly the same vendor again, and exactly the same product again, but this time I might say, put in 100. And that says, if I buy at least 100, I then get a purchase price in 9 euros. Now, I can also specify sites. Sometimes the delivery address will determine the pricing. In this case, I tend to disregard the lead time. In our company, we specify our lead times as a default against the product, not as a factor in the price, but you can put that in. In this example, I'm just doing purchase pricing. I can actually put in discounts, which you tend to do more in a sales side of it. Some companies will use that for purchasing pricing. That pretty much covers all there is to it. When you're ready for this and you're happy, you post it, and those prices will become live. If you've set in from and to dates, then they can be for a specific date range. Otherwise, they are the price that is live. Now, that'll take a minute to post, and that journal will disappear. And if I now have a look at my product, I can view the trade agreements. You can click Edit Selected Lines, and that will essentially create a new journal with the new line in it and allow you to override it, but it will still keep a record of everything that's there. The one big drawback with using trade agreements is people like to look at a product and see what the purchase price is. And in this case, I've got that on my front screen, but if we drill down into the product, we will get that, and we will get the purchase price. In this case, $2.45. Now, I have no way of knowing that there's a trade agreement on that product. And especially if latest purchase price is ticked, then that number tends to move around when I buy it from two different vendors. So my general recommendation would be, if you are using trade agreements on just some products, that you untick latest purchase price and set the purchase price here to 0, and that acts as a flag to indicate you have got a trade agreement set up. If it's just a foreign currency purchase where you do have it, I tend to leave that ticked, and that way this price will update every time an invoice is processed with the latest price and the latest currency adjustments applied to it. So at least I can go through and I sort of get a fair idea of the purchase price of the product. That pretty much covers all there is with trade agreements. Your next step would be to go through and create a purchase order for your trade agreements and make sure they have worked as you understand that they should. First time, a little bit of a disclaimer, before you use trade agreements, you need to make sure that you've talked to your finance team, because if you've used different costing models, FIFO or weighted average, they can make a difference in how that work. And you do have to activate price discounts to say that I'm going to allow the system to have a specific price for specific vendors, a price for a group of vendors, or I could enter a foreign currency price regardless of the vendor. That's great if people can buy it from in a very unstructured format. If you are using price discounts for sales pricing, it's very similar, except you just go to the sales tab rather than the purchase tab. You may also be looking at using the discounts or multi-line discounts or the total discounts. My advice to you is keep this as simple as you can, because the more complicated you make it, the slower the system will operate. That pretty much covers brief introduction to trade agreements and how to put purchase prices in foreign currencies or put price breaks against things. I hope it's been a valuable few minutes out of your day and it saves some time going forwards.